Deltalogan has expanded wonderfully since the last time I talked about it on my channel. I talked about it a long time ago. But we got like 160 character designs in this now. And if we go here, uh, some of these, I still there's still a lot of like really important characters that I don't have paired to anything right now. So like Snowy's dad, Snowy, and Monster Kid. Like these are very important characters, Snowy and Monster Kid. I don't have them paired to anyone quite yet. Uh, and like there's some weird choices. Like I don't know how I'm gonna get the pair of eyes paired to anyone, or the tree with legs paired to anyone. I don't know how that's gonna work. And then there are like a lot of ones that just I don't have designed yet. I'm kind of waiting for Chapter 5 to design more, because a lot of them I have right now are like, because like with the Mizzles, I want to wait till Chapter 5 to see if I could put Peach in a better place than being the stand-in for the Mizzles. You know, I want to see if that's the case. Some of these I have figured out, but I'm just too lazy to draw right now. Like I'm pretty sure I know what the old man statue's gonna be. I'm pretty sure I know what's up here. I think it's the Diamond King. I haven't designed the Diamond King yet, but I'm pretty sure I know who that I want that to be. Um, but I do have a large majority of the characters paired to someone, and I have a large majority of those character designs done. I think the biggest things here. Let's go down to the darkness stuff. Um, the Hell characters. Most of the Hell characters, I do not yet have paired to someone. So, the Titan and the Titan Spawn and the Roaring Knight, I don't have paired to anyone. I think I know who Image Friend is going to be, but I need to wait for Chapter 5 just to see if I can use him again. Because my idea is to make Image Friend Tony the Tiger, just like I made Mike. Well, just like I made Pluie Tony the Tiger. But like, here's the thing: my rule was I can reuse these guys. I can reuse Shrek, Tony the Tiger, and Woody in other areas because these are costumes. I can reuse these guys in other areas if Woody theory turns out to be correct. If Woody theory's correct, I can 100% reuse Shrek, Woody, and Tony the Tiger. 100%. That's perfectly valid. But like, there's some things like I think I have all of the Zelda mini games characters paired, except obviously Friend. And then Sanctuary. No, it wasn't Sanctuary. It was Chapter 3. Yeah, I have all the Chapter 3 characters paired to someone that fits pretty well. And I think one of the best things to do for this video is to just go through them and show you them and maybe explain my process on my thought process on some of these. So basically, the logic here is like sort of like the underswap AU logic, where it's like I take a character from one series and place them over the Deltarune version of that character. So as you can see here, I have Jeffy placed over Chris. I have Cody placed over Rousey, and I have Joseph placed over Susie. I'll show you them. I thought the IC piano is cute. I don't think he'll have. I don't think Chris Jeffrey will have an IC piano in the game. I think it is just going to be the cat piano, because my idea behind these characters is that they're the Super Mario Logan personalities put over the Deltarune roles in the story. So it's like Jeffy's personality over Chris, and Cody's personality playing Rousey's role in the story. When my syndrome is down low and the green beans start to show, and the daddy that I know, he is being high, there's There's a pencil in my nose, drawing goofy Jeffy clones with these words I hold inside my heart. Doodle doo, doo doodle pencil fart. Uh, so I can show you some of this. So this is my idea of what the Deltalogan itself would look like. This is like what the rune is. Um, I gave a few like different colored interpretations. Really, with Deltalogan, the thing is, I just want to get the character designs out, and then let anyone who's like interested in this project make their own mods, their own music, whatever. Like, just do their own take on Deltalogan. All I'm really gonna do is just like design the characters and stuff, um, and fans can like use whatever creative liberties they want to bring the story into play. So I was thinking the soul was just gonna look like the YouTube play button. I think the soul was just gonna look like the YouTube play button, nothing too crazy. I was thinking Mario was gonna be Asgore, and he was gonna have a power up shop. He was gonna sell power ups instead of flowers. And then Rosalina was gonna be Toriel, obviously. And then Jeffy was gonna be Chris. Now, some people might be mad that I didn't make Bowser Jr. Chris. There is a logic to that. So first of all, I thought we'll see Bowser Jr. later. I have him paired to Lancer. And the reason I did that is because the thing that gave me the idea for this AU in the first place was the fact that Chaos King, Lancer, and Rules card almost had like the perfect dynamic that Bowser Jr. and Chef Pee Pee had. It was almost like perfect. You know, you have the little kind of obnoxious, bouncy kid who's like kind of tubby, and then you have like his dad who looks a lot like him and is like this big scary guy who abuses him, and then you have like Junior's actual dad who's like the chef, who's just like the house servant, and that's Chef Pee Pee in Super Mario Logan. And so I thought that dynamic fit. And so, like, it is a little bit sad that I had to split up the Skeeter boys, but it's just, like, Jeffy fit better over Chris, and Bowser Jr. felt better over Lancer. And another good reason to make Jeffy Chris is because Chris doesn't talk a whole lot. And some of the best Jeffy appearances are when he's just kind of, like, there watching everything happen. Like, the less Jeffy talks, the better. That might be mean. But it's also the case that it's like when he talks, he'll say something just completely wild. And that kind of reminded me of Chris, right? With the whole, you get dialogue options very rarely, but when you do, you'll get, like, crazy options. Like, you'll get crazy options which are like intrusive thoughts, and you let the intrusive thoughts win, and you say something absurd like "bangin' sermon, my man," or like something like that, playing as Chris, and that's kind of like Jeffy's character, is that like he'll just sit there with like a blank expression as like other characters are talking, and when it's his turn to speak, he'll be like, "I finger paint with poop," or something weird like that. This says Chris right here on this shirt, and then Light World says Jeffy. I think it's just going to say Jeffy, because I think what's going to happen is that they're just going to be called the name of the Super Mario Logan counterparts. So it's like when you go through the story, people will just be calling Cody Cody, and they'll be calling Jeffy Jeffy. I don't think I'm going to do like these weird combination names like Creffy or freaking Suzeth or Codsy. I don't think I'm going to do anything like that. That just gets to be annoying after a while. And then of course we have Joseph as Susie, and this is the old version of Joseph. This was like the braces, the braces kid. He was still the kid who could get violent, though. He was still the kid who could get violent. Um, he was convinced that he killed his mom for the longest time. He was convinced that he killed his mom in his sleep. Um, and that was disturbing. I have her holding some chalk here, which is well, him. I think this is gonna be a guy. I think they're gonna be the genders of the Super Mario Logan characters. So this is gonna be a guy. It's just he's got long hair. This is the Dark World design. And these are very prototype designs. Anyone who's handling this AU can kind of do their own thing. This is Ralsei as Cody. I thought that was fitting. And then, of course, Ken is the dummy, the training dummy. I thought that was, I thought that made sense. This is Brooklyn Guy as Rudy Holiday. So these are like the neighbors, and this is like a big family. So Brooklyn Guy's family is the Holidays. You have this kind of removes the intimidation of Carol a little bit, but yeah, you got Karen Guy. You got Penelope as Noelle, and now you're probably wondering, what am I going to do for Des when Des comes around? Well, this is like some out there Super Mario Logan trivia, but there is a lesser known SML character. I think most people have probably forgotten this character by this point. There was an SML character in the past named Brooklyn Guy Jr. It was like this little kid with a construction hat that followed Brooklyn Guy to work. And he died in his one and only appearance. This was kind of before they decided that Brooklyn Guy needed to have an established family. This was before Brooklyn Guy was a main character. So it's like Brooklyn Guy Jr. is still an SML character. But I feel like it fits the theme of like a lost, forgotten girl, right? This lost girl that people don't bring up a whole lot, being Brooklyn Jr. That makes a lot of sense to me. I don't have a design for that yet, and part of that's because we don't have Des's design yet. But that's kind of my plan for Des, is to make her Brooklyn Jr. You might want to look that up. And that's the Dark World version. It's just a dress. And then Harry was going to be Birdly. So if you don't remember Harry, it was during the pandemic. Pablo couldn't get in to do a lot of videos, so they just like created an entirely new character named Harry that temporarily took Cody's place, and they just haven't used him since 2020. I feel like, the sort of annoying smart kid, yeah, that fit Harry pretty well. The Kattenheimers are the Huckerdoos as well, and I felt like that made sense. This is the dad. This is the mom. I feel like the proportions are not quite right on this one. They need to be like short and fat, and I didn't really do that with this one. I think the face is fine though. This is a little bit creepy. This is Caddy with a Y. This is the older Caddy, and this is Timmy Huckerdoo. That scene where it was like the scene in chapter 4 where Caddy reads the sermon that like she completely forgot and was just making up as she was reading it. Like, that just reminded me of Timmy a lot. Like the way she was talking, that reminded me a lot of Timmy, and I was like, yeah, this is a pretty good match. And then we have Susie Huckerdoo as Caddy with an I, the younger one. So Susie's going through her goth phase in this AU, I guess. I guess that, hey, if it works. PJ Crimshaw as Jockington. I don't think I need to explain that further. Taco Bell Chihuahua as Annoying Dog. I do think that Poop Butt is a more recognizable SML dog. Poopy Butt. The paralyzed dog. But also he is a paralyzed dog. And so I also thought that, like, who are some other iconic SML dogs? And the old Taco Bell Chihuahua, which they did use occasionally, this was a reoccurring character. I felt like that actually fit Toby Fox pretty well, the annoying dog. And I also felt like, the Taco Bell dog had like a little heart. that it held on to. And, like, you know, I think it's just fitting for, like, this version of Toby Fox to sort of have, like, a little heart pendant, you know, because he's, like, the game developer. Um, Two cosmic forces of the Deltarune universe are just kind of, like, together in this one character design. Precious the Rapper is Temmie. You know, it's like a cat with, like, a little hat on top. So that's Precious the Rapper. King Bowser. This design isn't great. I think it's just the face, really. This design isn't great. This is not my best work. But I tried. I don't like drawing Bowser. He's got the Freddy Fazbear cheeks. This is sort of the idea, so definitely do your own thing with this design. Make it look better, but yeah. King was going to be Bowser. I feel like that makes sense. Also, I feel like Bowser's, like, sort of agoraphobia in regards to his room, where he just stays in his room the whole time. That actually fits King pretty well, because he just kind of stays up at the top of the castle. You don't really see him throughout the chapter like the other bosses. Deltarune, Lancer Jr. I explained why earlier. And then his bike was gonna be the Rydom Thomas the Tank Engine toy, but it set on fire. I thought that was fitting. You know, he's riding around on Thomas. Chef PP / Rules card. I also I would love to hear the musical tracks that people compose for this guy. I would love to hear that. Ding and Dong as the Clubs King. This isn't Clover, this is the Clubs King. This was the guy who was in the cage. So they're Ding and Dong, and then Ping and Pong are, Ping and Pong are Clover. They're more iconic, and they're the one you have the closer encounter with. Goombas are Hathies. That's just kind of like a general rule. So this is like the king of the Hathies. This is the Hearts King. And then these are the head Hathies. And then these are the regular Hathies. They're just recolors. But then there's the Rudins, and the Rudins are Koopa Troopas. I felt like it was fair to make Koopa Troopa and Joseph different characters. You know, Joseph isn't named Koopa Troopa, and who better to be minions for Bowser than the Koopa Troopas? Craig as Sham, and he sells you stuff from Craigslist. So instead of Sham's shop, it's Craigslist. I felt like that was funny. And another reason why that's funny is because the secret boss is his son, Craig Jr. Now, I feel like, you know, the little high-energy, short little devil guy, that really fit Craig Jr. a lot. That was just a match made in hell. So, the lime green cockadoodle tweet. This is the little bird that's sent out during the Jubble fight if you pirouette enough times. It's a little green bird that made a nest of Jeffy's hair that one episode. Chompy is the coin dog. That makes sense. Or the checker dog. C-round / K-round. Now, here's the thing. I kind of wish I separated these two different designs a little bit more, because these are supposed to be two different designs. But now it just looks like it just looks like Chain Chomp with legs holding on to another Chain Chomp. Well, it's not really supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be like a small Chain Chomp on the ground, and then the big Chain Chomp with legs. So it's like, I felt like people were gonna get that by looking at this, but This is one of the earlier designs I made, I think. Prince Abu Dhabi as Mr. Society, and of course that means that Camille Habib Habab is Mr. Elegance. I really just did that because of the shape of the face. It felt very camel-shaped. And then I have Heidi as the Pawnman, and the only reason I did that is because there was one episode where Heidi was like Camille Habib Habab's daughter for some reason. That never comes back again. It never comes back that Heidi is Camille Habib Habab's daughter. But yeah, she was used a few times. She was used in the Hurricane episode. This is a reoccurring character. Mobot, the manners teaching robot. This is Jigsaw Joe. And the Puzzle Masters are just various recolorings of him. I felt like that was okay. I felt like I was allowed to do that. Because he basically just tries to scam you out of money for stuff that you can probably figure out on your own. And because I did that, I made the Jigsaw bot buddy. It felt like if I made the other puzzle pieces robots, I needed to make the main robots a robot. This is one of the only character choices that I feel like doesn't work the best. Like, this doesn't work great. It works okay, but it doesn't work great. It's still fine, I think. Maybe the fans could come up with a better design option. The block swords, the rearrange them guys. These are Mr. Potato Heads. There's that one episode where Mr. Potato Head's pieces fell out onto a pizza. Oh no, they faked that Mr. Potato Head's pieces fell out onto a pizza, and so he got fired from his job, and he had to become a prostitute. And so they gave him all the money that they sued him for at the end. That was an interesting episode. The Rabbit is the Hop Hop Bunny. I felt like that was okay. Probably the most iconic bunny character in SML. Chef Poo Poo. This was Chef Pee Pee's dim-witted clone. I made Chef Poo Poo Top Chef. They appear in the same chapter. They first appear in the same chapter, and this is the character that has less importance, but is still entertaining to be around. Jackie 2 is Smith Malleus. This isn't Jackie Chu. Jackie Chu is somewhere else. This is Jackie 2. I felt like Smith Malleus's personality was very like kung fu coded, if that makes sense. So it's like, okay, let's just make the or was it karate? I think it was kung fu. I don't know. I felt like that worked. I feel like there's a logic here that you can just see when you look at it. Chaz and Junior, Chef Pee-Pee's kids that Cody and Junior made from the baby machine. These are the letter block guys, and I did that because they're both like little gremlins. Okay, this one's a little bit weird. This is the coat rack. This is the Jax guy. I made him Jimmy, who is like a pokey that I read about on the SML Wiki. And I only really did this out of shape. I don't remember the episode with Pokey in it. Maybe someone who saw that episode could fill in the blanks here. But I really just did this because of shape. Kirby's here. Kirby was in an SML video. I think, was it the one where Mario was trying to get a girlfriend? Or, I don't know. I know Kirby appeared in an SML video. I know he did. I remember him eating something. Oh, the very hungry caterpillar that that ate all the food in the food machine. The food machine. That they started to start the restaurant, the orphanage with. The very hungry caterpillar. This is the worm that consumes the leaves in that one scene. The scissor dancers. These are just like the generic, apparently super attractive puppet that they keep reusing. They keep reusing this ugly ass puppet as like the token attractive character of the episode. And I fucking hate this character because they're trying to make me think that this is the pinnacle of beauty when she's got like a frog face. I don't know. It felt fitting. Oh, okay. So Bonsai Bill is the Star Walker that like shoots like stars at you. But then Bully Bill is the original Star Walker. And I felt like that fit his personality, right? He's like the sort of like kind of he's pissed off. He's always pissed off, and so I made him Bully Bill. I feel like that works. The caged animals, I just have them as Monkey Jeffy. There was an episode where Jeffy bought a monkey and put his clothes on the monkey. He ordered a monkey off Amazon Primate. Okay, so now we're getting into Chapter 2 characters, and we have Queen Goodman. This makes sense, the very rich ruler figure. Felt like that made sense. Of course, Chives, his head butler. This is Swatch, the butler that hates his life. And then we have Juan. This is like the Mexican worker that Goodman has working for him. And he's the Swatchling. He's the regular butler. And then I fucking hate this character, but I had to make this choice because it was the only character that fit, given everything else in Chapter 2. This is Patricia, Goodman's maid, who likes to thank him a lot. And I have that paired to Task Manager. And the tasks are based on the cross between a woolly mammoth and a Shih Tzu. That like they had like a preserved woolly mammoth testicle, and they bred that with a Shih Tzu, and it produced Goodman's incredibly expensive rich dog. So this is more of a dog than a cat, but I think it's fine. Oh, yeah, this. This is one of the glup shittos of Deltarune. This is one of the random background characters. This is the wig robot. This is actually based on the maid for the SML house, like the real life maid of the SML house, Valerie Smith. And I wanted a character that paired well with her, so I chose James Campbell. That's another underrated SML cast member, and that's the Charlie and Friends is filmed in front of a live audience. He's that guy. He's the guy who did that. I think he also voices Saw. I'm not sure. Saw might have been voiced by Anthony. I don't remember, but oh, and then this is one of my very first choices. Is that Hansel the homeless guy, the conspiracy theorist. I paired him to Spampton. Cheeseburger Man. I have a lot to say about this guy. I even wrote the song down here. I need a beer, cheeseburger man. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger man. I need a beer, cheeseburger man. Cheeseburger, 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 cheeseburger. I think they're coming for me. They'll give me a probe. They want you to think the world's a globe. They feed the beans and make them green until your son starts freaking out. I think they're coming for me. They'll give me a probe. They want you to think the world's a globe. They'll feed the beans. Tell you what, cheeseburger man. And I think since he is like the alien conspiracy theorist, I kind of want him to say Zablurbenklocken instead of heaven. You know, because this is in brackets, it probably isn't heaven he's trying to say. He's probably trying to say the other place. I mean, that's kind of how I read Spampton's fight dialogue. I could be wrong on that, because I always thought like the deal with the brackets is that Spampton was trying to say something else, but it gets censored. And so every time Spampton says heaven like this, he's not actually referring to heaven like, oh, fudge. He's not referring to this, he's referring to something that gets censored. That was my interpretation. And I feel like he'd say Sublurbenklocken instead, because he's the alien conspiracy theorist. Instead of Big Shot, he'd say Cheeseburger Man. I feel like that made a lot of sense. And of course, Pippis's would be cheeseburgers. I guess that makes sense. Okay, these are the what are they called? The gang, the robot gang. So Black Yoshi is Sweet. Jamal is Captain. This is like the little kid who never wore a short for some reason. And then Tyrone. This is Cody's dad as KK. Now, yes, I did do this because these are black stereotypes. Does that make me racist? Now, here's the question. Does that make me racist? Yes, but here's a better question. Am I racist because it's my own fault, or am I racist because I'm an SML fan? And SML uses these stereotype jokes all the damn time. I think I'm gonna go with the latter one because I don't like to take responsibility. Okay. And then the mouses are like these different rats that appeared in different episodes, and these are rats that appeared in like a lot of different episodes. So like this brown mouse here, he was like this little guy that went wham 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 wham. I think he's called Templeton the Rat or something like that. And then there's this white mouse. He was like, "I want cheese, I want cheese," or so. I can't do a good voice on him. And these would be like the sort of common variety mouse that like you encounter while playing the game. But then like the sophisticated mouse, the Mouse Million, in Queen's Mansion, this would be Remy. This would be Remy from the Ratatouille video. But all three of these guys are present in the mouse wheel boss fight. So like, you know, I have different choices for the mouses. SML always does this one thing where it's like every so often they'll have a storyline where a new rat character comes in and tries to eat Chef Pee-Pee's cheese. And they've done this plotline like multiple times. So I had a few different choices, and I was like, none of these choices are better than the others. I'll just put them all in. I feel like that was okay. Deltarune British Sonic. British Sonic as the Plug Boy. The regular, like, Plug Boy citizens. Which means that the Werewires are also British Sonic, where they get, like, mutated like this. And then Super Sonic is the Werewire. Back in the old days of SML, they had, like, Sonic appears, like, a background character occasionally, and they always speak with, like, a British accent. Here's the thing. I can't use teeter-totter characters. I think the teeter-totter Sonic is maybe a little more iconic. I'm not going to let myself use teeter-totter characters, because it's very decidedly a different universe. It's like whenever Mario appears in the teeter-totter universe, it's always like this crazy Mario that likes meatballs or whatever. It's not really the SML Mario. Now this should tell you what type of shows I like to watch. This damn show. Vero Virukun is Candy, the like the little robot toy bear they had that threw it back, got jiggy with it, got a little quirky at night. You know, that character. That's Vera Virukun, because like Vera Virukun is like a troublemaker. And then, of course, like the ones who are trying to stop the troublemakers, the ambulances. This is her dad. This is Candy's dad. He looks a little bit like Deadmau 5. That was not intentional, but he did end up looking a little bit like Deadmau 5. It's supposed to be Candy's dad, though, and not Big Mouth 5. Mr. Sharky. So Mr. Sharky was like a shark puppet. That like appeared in a few episodes. He went like, "Yeah, cheese. I like cheese." I think it was like a crossover with something else, but it is still an SML character. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't make this the Lone Dolphin, and that's because of the personality. So like the Lone Dolphin and the Shark Puppet could both fit this character design pretty well. And, you know, since it's a dolphin, maybe a dolphin would have fit better. But I felt like personality-wise, Mr. Sharky had to be this, so that I could make the lone dolphin someone else. Oh, this is the hacker. Okay, this is one of the newer characters. This is Zach, Cheek Clapper number. The I game past my bedtime puppet, with the afro and like the slippers or whatever. I made this guy the hacker. I felt like that made sense. It's just a little goofy, nerdy looking version of the hacker, I guess. Uh, my ping went down 2 measurements. Who's fucking me? And then we have the lone dolphin, who I made the Addisons. I felt like that made a lot of sense. They're the guys that sell you random bull crap. It made sense for the lone dolphin to be them. Lightning McQueen is like the little cars with the legs that appear. Ka-chow! Ka-chow. Yeah, like the power outage episode where it was like Brooklyn guy had a nightmare about Lightning McQueen. That's why Lightning McQueen's here. PD Piranha. Oh yes, this is the piranha plant that they let listen to all night to MC Bloodstain music for their science fair project. And this is like the little wall plugs that lunge out of you if you try to go down Spampton Route. Gimmick saucer. These are like the saucers that's like... These are like the little serving trays where when you click on them, they turn into like flying saucers. This is just like the Zablorbaclocken. This is like a regular Zablorbaclocken spaceship. This is like the sort of spaceship that Rosalina's parents picked up Jeffy in. Oh, this is a deep cut. This is a bit of a deep cut. I made the Icon Man because, like, I needed the joke with the Icon Man to be... It's a character that's shaped like the Icon Man, and there's also a character that looks exactly like them. And this is one of the oldest series that SML ever did. This was the American Idol series that they made when they were kids. Timber Creek was like this very fancy looking version of SpongeBob that like performed to try to become a main character or something, and he didn't succeed, but he's still technically an SML character. And they do use SpongeBob in other areas. Like I think in one of the more recent episodes, Brooklyn guy like called him on the phone to ask him about a jellyfish, and he just laughed the whole time and said stuff that constituted his filler. So, I mean, these are technically SML characters, and they technically look similar enough. This one was a real stretch. This one was a real stretch, but it works. It does works. This is a glup shitto, so it doesn't need to be like a super recognizable SML character. Oh yes, the Cheerios box is the font as I'm talking about how glup shittos don't need to be recognizable characters. Cheerios. Oh yes. Cookie Monster as Trashy. Dang it, Junior, you let Cookie Monster in the house. I didn't know he was gonna eat the cookies. His name's Cookie Monster, Junior. Of course he's gonna eat the damn cookies. Oh, Jiggly Jello. Oh, this is another deep cut. I found out about this guy from the wiki. Jiggly Jello. He was like the perfect shape to make it a Newbert. This is like a few second clip video that was like uploaded to Super Mario Logan, and it's since been deleted. I think it has been re-uploaded by the SML re-uploaded channel. It was literally just a video of like a car running over a piece of Jello with a face. And it is technically a Super Mario Logan character, so he's allowed to be here. Okay, now we're getting into Chapter 3 characters, and I feel like this was an obvious choice. Charlie as Tenna. Time for Charlie. Who likes Charlie? Everybody loves some Charlie. Who's got Charlie? Where's Charlie? There's Charlie. You got everything that you need. No, I really hope someone makes like music for this boss fight. And like another thing I thought about the boss fight is that like the screen in the background maybe it could play like sped up Charlie clips with no context. So it's just like this wild, the sort of like wild, quick sort of visuals in the background during the fight. I don't know. Like, I just felt like there was a lot of potential for Charlie as Tenna. I had to make Charlie Tenna. I had to. The mics. Okay, so with the mics. So Mike is a very mysterious character in Deltarune. I already decided that Mike is going to be named Mike Snickerpippets. So like, Jeffy's like, so like Mario's like, oh, where'd you get those shoes from? And then Jeffy was like, oh, Mike Snickerpippets gave them to me. And they just keep using this word Mike Snickerpippets, which I think is like an inside joke. It's one of those jokes that rings as like an inside joke that Logan just keeps bringing up. Like Mike Snickerpippets was something from his childhood that only he understands, and it's funny anyway. Um, and so the deal with the three mics that like you fight in like the mic fight. These were gonna be like regular characters. So like, you know, the twist with like the mics is that they're like regular characters that like um sort of just like dress up as Mike and do the stuff that like Mike's supposed to do. They kind of like do Mike's work. Um and so the deal with these guys is that I am allowing myself to reuse Shrek, Woody, and Tony the Tiger, who I used for these guys. I'm allowed to reuse them later on in the series if Woody theory turns out to be correct, which it has a very high chance of being likely. Even if they have a version of Woody who's like not a secret boss or whatever, I still think that I still think that like it'd be good to reuse Woody. I think it would be good for Toby to make some sort of reference to Woody in Chapter 5. And so yeah. Um so this is like a Rudin. This is a green Rudin. I'll get into what the Rudins are. Chris the Cucumber. Chris the Cucumber. Did you know that the red spot on Jupiter is really your mom's Yeah, Chris the Cucumber who helped Junior cheat on his test. And he dresses up as Shrek, as Mike Snickerpippets. Okay, and then we have Tony, Mike Snickerpippets, Tony. This is Pluie, this is the cat Mike. And then we have Jongler, who is Woody. He's dressed up like Woody. Now we have Lenino and Elnina, who are Rosalina's dad and mom. So Lenino is Rosalina's dad. Elnina is Rosalina's mom. And the reason I did not give Rosalina's mom shoes is because I want the fandom to just have fun with this. They know the character quirk if they've ever watched SML, and if they get something out of this that I didn't intend, they are certainly welcome to. Oh, Nigel. Nigel was Junior's twin brother from Britain, isn't it? He would look basically just like Junior, but with like rotten teeth. I felt like Ram, he's British. I also had the Plug Boys as Sonic, and they were British. So it's like, Ram could be British. And he'd be Nigel. Makes sense. Mr. Winkle! Of course, Mr. Winkle, because he likes taking pictures of kids, is now Shutta, who also likes to take picture of kids. Might want to look into that. And then we have the Pippinses. I think I called them Rudins earlier. No, these are the Pippinses. The Pippinses are Larry the Cucumber, and I have like the regular Pippins, and then I have Bad At right here. So yeah, these are the Pippinses. Now the reason I have two different versions of them, I have one where it's just like the cucumber, and then I have one with arms and legs. You guys should choose which of these designs is probably better, because like I know the whole thing with VeggieTales is that like they don't have arms or legs, but this isn't VeggieTales. This is Chris the Cucumber. They just reused a Larry plush as like their own OC. Do not steal Chris the Cucumber, who has basically nothing to do with VeggieTales. Oh, Delta. Okay, so Charlie's friend slash Shadow Man. So the Shadow Man are called Charlie's friends, and when they speak, they make the Charlie and Friends sound. They make like the cheering that you hear in Charlie and Friends music, like ah, like that type of stuff. They are modeled after Nintendo, the animator that animates for SML sometimes. So it's kind of like a way of this being a design that I don't think I'm going to use for any other character. Doesn't really fit the type of SML characters that I'm using. I don't know if I will ever use any other animated exclusive characters like Billy Bowling Hands or Baked ZD PD. I don't know if I'm ever going to use anyone else like that, so I just have them as the Shadow Man. So it's like Christy Cucumber, Shadow Man, and Officer Earl dressed up as Trek, Tony the Tiger, and Woody. And so Officer Earl, this is the guy that talks in the Patrick Warburton voice. He's like the guy with like the sort of the square blonde hair and the sunglasses. He was Marvin's secret agent in one episode. I think he was Barack Obama's secret agent in his first appearance. So he's like the secret agent man that talks in the Patrick Warburton voice. He's iconic enough. He's the Zapper. Oh, the Ribbix. Okay, the Ribbix are Poliwhirls that turn into Polytoad EXs. Felt like that was fitting. I hope Lancer has an encounter with one of these guys later on. One of the Ribbix. Okay, the Golden Sams. I don't know why they're all the way down here and not in Chapter 1, because they were Chapter 1 characters. So there's Golden Sam and there's Silver Sam. So Golden Sam is Gilbert Catfried. That's Brooklyn Guy's cat. And then Silver Sam is Christopher Walken. Christopher Walkington. So these are like Brooklyn Guy's cats, and there's like two different colors of them. And I decided instead of Gold Sun 1 and 2, we'd have Golden Sun and Silver Sun. Just because I feel like this guy's more... I feel like Christopher Walkington is more iconic than Gilbert Catfried. But also, Golden Sam is more iconic than Silver Sam. But then also the colors need to be like this so that they fit best. Like, this is literally just the same cat plush, but with a different color. Oh, and actually, if you notice about this design, this is shaped like a sun, like a star, but they're cat ears. You see that little white part down here at the bottom? All of these are cat ears. That's, these were fun to design. I'll leave it at that. Serious Trashy is just Serious Cookie Monster. That might be a little weird. You know, maybe you'd want Serious Trashy to be a different character than regular Trashy. But, they were the same species, and I was like, man, I think the only other character that, like, could be a Trashy is Deborah Dimple Ass. But, like, also, Deborah Dimple Ass cannot be taken this seriously. Cookie Monster can be taken this seriously. But also, because of the way the eyes are shaped, the original Trashy needs to be Cookie Monster. So I just made them both Cookie Monster. Now, when you're doing your own version of the AU, you can kind of do your own thing. If you feel like Trashy and Serious Trashy need to be different characters, then go ahead and do that. Cody as a Yoshi. because he's like a horse in that one scene. Earram is Pixie Goblin. People might like that. Pixie Goblin was like their version of Link back in the day, back during like the days of the school series. Pixie Goblin was their version of Link, so making Earram the sort of like Zelda boss based on a Zelda character, that makes a lot of sense to me, you know. Okay, these are Mantle game characters, and these ones I didn't put too much thought in. I was just like, we can use just like random Mario enemies, and it's like it doesn't even matter if we like reuse these characters elsewhere for whatever reason. I did keep Harry and Penelope as the bird and white cloak because these two are like the most important ones. Uh, Cheep Cheep is like the little fish. Fire Flower's the little flowers that shoot fire. Yoshi's the elemental lizard. Goombas are sort of like the standard monster enemies. There's a Shadow Goomba that copies your movements. And then there are like the cat faces. There's like the singing face, which is the happy moon for Mario, and then like the angry cat face, which is the angry sun. And I felt like that made sense, you know? Those are all the Mantle characters, just kind of sort of summed up. Okay, now we're moving into Chapter 4. I had to make Judge Poobie the old man. I had to. I had to make Judge Poobie the old man. And of course, these are hometown characters right here, but I had to put them next to the old man. This is Mrs. Boom, and this is Bowser's grandma. This is like the old lady that sounded like Herbert the Pervert. I felt like this design sort of looks like Herbert the Pervert as well. I don't know if that's right, but like, yeah, like the perverted old woman that's like Bowser's grandma in some episodes. It's like, that's who this character is in the AU. And then I have Judge Alvin or Judge Anthony as Father Alvin. I felt like what I wanted to do was instead of a church, we'd have a courtroom. It'd be Judge Poobie's court. Now, I might redesign this guy and give him hair. I feel like that would be a good idea to redesign this guy. This is Jackenstein, and I made him Billy AIDS Jigsaw. AIDS. Big rubber ducky with AIDS needles. That can allow for some good sentence mixing. Baja Blast Cooler. Now, this is one of those things where it's like, I have some doubts about this. But it was between a Baja Blast cooler and a Kool-Aid cooler. And I feel like Kool-Aid is a more iconic drink in SML than Baja Blast. But also, if you have a Baja Blast cooler, you can make Mexican Superman Miss Mizzle. And she can hit you with the Baja Blast. And that was really funny to me. So, I mean, like, characters do drink Baja Blast quite often in Super Mario Logan. Like, Mario's semen is made of Baja Blast because he drinks it so much. And so, I just thought that this was... I thought that this was funny. Now, the regular Mizzles, I don't know what I'm going to make them yet, and I do want to wait for Chapter 5. I'm thinking of making them Peach, but I also kind of want to make Peach a character close to Mario, which is Asgore in the AU. So, I want to see what characters are close to Asgore in Chapter 5 before I just go all in on making Peach the Baja Blast woman. And I mean, they would be made of Baja Blast, because, like, you gotta keep the theme of the related characters, you know? The Winglade are Jeffy's favorite bat. I felt like that made sense, and if you notice right here, the eyeball is actually the baseball. So it's Jeffy's favorite bat and Jeffy's favorite ball. And the baseball is the eye. I had fun designing this. I like designing angel-like characters. The wafers. These are like the guys with like the semicircle and like the little uh, bite taken out of it. These were supposed to be like cracker wafer guys, and so instead I have him as like the sad version of Pac-Man, Waka Waka, eating Pac-Man pellets. And the philosophers, and the organics, the philosophers and organics are the same thing. I made them the cat piano. Now I know there is a lot of potential for making cat piano friend. There's a lot of potential for that. It's a big smiling cat, but at the same time, this is the most iconic instrument in SML. And what do we need for the philosophers and organics? We need an iconic instrument to SML. Uh, and like this is just the design for the organic. Of course, the philosopher is just like a. The philosophers are just organics, but they wear different robes. So, and then they have the Cuptons. These were shaped like Shy Guys, so I made them Shy Guys. And there were always Shy Guys in SML back in the old days. The Shy Guys appeared occasionally. Booze also appeared occasionally. So I made booze into guiz, or whatever, however you pronounce this word. I think it's like a Japanese word. I don't know how you pronounce it. And these are like the fiery creatures. Pee-wee. Pee-wee is the turtle that Mario brutally murdered after Rosalina brought it home. I kind of like designing this. I like designing like these little pipes on the sides, but then I have like these ones sticking up in the back, and they just don't look good. Doesn't look consistent with like the size and shape of these ones. But as I said before, improve these character designs to your own will. And I made him the Balthazar, like the little turtle that shoots out incense. The Bibliox. This is like the little wizard made out of books and paper. I made this crystal balls. And he has his crystal ball right here, and it's like surrounded by little papers with his hands on them, little hands drawn on them. If you can see that. I mean, this was pretty easy to design. I made his accent color gold instead of gray, and I gave him glasses. And I made him like a little taller as well, and that's about it. It was pretty easy to design. Mrs. Nesbit. So I did make Mrs. Nesbit and the Devil different characters in this AU. I felt like that was okay. I felt like that was fair. You know, they basically are different characters. It's like an entirely different persona is what it is. And so I made Mrs. Nesbit the Wickabells, which makes sense because they're witches. Hot Dog Man is the Tao. Now I did consider making Candy the Hot Dog Man because like the whole deal with or Candy the Tao because the whole deal with the Tao is that it dances. Ended up going with Hot Dog Man, and I'm so glad I did because this photo is just kind of funny to me. He dances, but as he dances, he shoots hot dogs out of his eyes. It's really funny to me. If you don't know what the Tao is, this was like that clock-looking thing that was like off to the side and you couldn't really reach during Chapter 4. It was that guy. Oh! It's like the little patches of darkness that sort of like moved in maze-like structures that you had to get past. In the end, I ended up making them Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde from Pac-Man. Now, these things, I believe, are closely related to the Depths and the Titans. I don't think these are average, everyday Darkners like everything else, so I was a little skeptical about making them the Pac-Man guys, but I feel like it does make sense because when you dodge these guys, you have to move in like maze-like structures. And so I felt like that made sense, right? The fire extinguisher. I just made this Tyrese the chicken. He was like this really crass chicken that appeared in one episode. It was like really pissed off that people were eating chickens. Well, here's the thing. I think there were multiple appearances of Tyrese. I think there was like one where he was like Black Yoshi's friend, who was like a chicken, and he said, "Not today, mother clucker," and pulled a gun on people. And then there was like a future appearance. I think it was the same chicken, who was like this really crass guy who was mad that people were eating chicken. Um, and he just gave everyone the middle finger. Because it was like this really strange chicken puppet that had like hands on it, like fingers. And then the only reason I did this is just because like the fire extinguisher was sort of like shaped like a chicken head. That's really the only reason I did it. Okay, now we're getting into hometown characters. We had like the main hometown characters like the students earlier, but now we're getting into some other hometown characters. Here we have Jackie Chu as Alphys. I felt like that made sense, you know. The teacher at YU Dumb Elementary School, that made sense. The chief of police is the chief of police, the blue M&M. So the blue M&M is Undyne. Simmons, of course, the second cop after Brooklyn guy, that's Napstablook. Sans is Wario, so that Papyrus could be Waluigi. And I feel like that worked just fine. You have the short, fat one, and you have the tall, lanky one. Then you have... Oh, yeah, Icy. Icy, I made, like, that really creepy McDonald's box. I think SML did have a video on, like, just how creepy that old McDonald's box was. With, like, the 3D eyes and the big smile. It just did not look right. So I made that Icy in this version. And of course, that means that Ice-Ease itself is McDonald's. And the warrior is Ronald McDonald himself. But his head's also kind of shaped like a McDonald's box. So that theme's still there. Jonathan Guy is Burger Pants. I felt like that made sense. But also, this looks a lot like SpongeBob. This looks like a humanized SpongeBob, doesn't it? It kind of does. I like drawing that. I like drawing his little goofy face. Steve Staleburger is Blue Ears. So maybe let's not write a romantic plot between these two, because Steve Staleburger is like 80 years old. Let's just stay away from the romance in this AU. I think that'd be best. But you know, I sort of did this because, you know, if it's McDonald's, you have to have Steve working for McDonald. You know, you have to have Steve working for McDonald. Like, Jonathan Guy is like the pathetic guy who's like, if he ever got a job, it would be something in retail. Steve Staleburger is like always the guy who works for Ronald McDonald. And then Grimace is Purple Guy. That makes perfect sense. Don't drink my milkshake! Okay, this is the hand receptionist at Town Hall. This is Pooby's wife from Nightmare on Pooby Street. So there was an episode called Nightmare on Jeffy Street, and the characters were watching a parody of Nightmare on Elm Street called Nightmare on Pooby Street. And in that, Pooby had a wife who was just his hand. I did consider making this Mrs. Boom. But it's the only hand-shaped character in SML, so I'm kind of obligated to make it the hand-shaped character of Deltarune. Donald Trump is the suitcase briefcase guy. I'm sorry, this was supposed to be a good day. Don't bring him up. Today's supposed to be a good day. And then Politics Bear is Lotso Deportations Bear. This is this is why I made Donald Trump the briefcase suitcase guy, because this guy needed to be Politics Bear. Lotso Deportations Bear needed to be Politics Bear. He just needed to be. I do have QC paired to Gordon Ramsay right now. I do have that right now. I am considering that might need to be changed in the future when like future chapters come out. But for now, Gordon Ramsay is QC, the diner owner. Uh, of course, the Royal Guards are Officer Top and Bottom. These were introduced in the pandemic ages when Pooby couldn't come in to play Brooklyn Guy. They instead had Officer Top and Officer Bottom. They're the Royal Guards. I feel like that makes perfect sense. Brad with the big D and the surfboard that is stuck to his hand. Dear gosh, somebody help him. There was a really funny SML episode where it's like Marvin and Chef PP thought that they killed Brad and they had to hide his body. And it was a really funny thing. But it's like, it's an aquatic character. I figured like it needed to be the surfer dude. It made sense to me. Brad is Chiron. Makes sense. Patrick Mahomes, the football player that looks like Kermit the Frog. And if you can see down here, this segment is shaped like a walrus. And you probably know, if you've seen this character, you probably know why that's shaped like a walrus. Oh my gosh, this character design hurts my eyes. Again, feel free to change any character designs I have made that are not that good. But I wanted Roy Gethard to be Terry. So the modern day cool kid is PJ Crimshaw. Back in the day, they had Roy Gethard. And so there's two cool kid characters in Deltarune. There's the one who's more important to the story, Jockington. So he's PJ Crenshaw, and so that means Terry gets to be Roy Gethard. And that, of course, means the Ice Caps are Roy's girls. I based them off the Maria Sanchez puppet, but when you make your own AAU, you should probably make them all look like different characters or do whatever you want with them. Basically, just make them Roy's admirers, like those characters. Because I think they always change out whatever puppet is Roy's given admirer at any given time. And I think mainly the whole idea of like a group of women following around a guy and like admiring him. I think that is more tied to PJ Crimshaw, but I could see it happening to Roy Gethard as well. So it's like just kind of like, use your own mind as a SML fan to sort of like just expand on this concept, because these are just like simple all-girl characters. So okay, Tito is the milk looker. I felt like that had to be the case. Tito, back in the day, Tito's like a member of the SML cast, and back in the day, he was always known as being the guy who likes milk. So, and then Dewey Done Did It is the clam guy. It's fitting for him to be next to Tito, honestly. Dewey Done Did It. This is the guy who turned Mario's life into a comedy TV show. And he is the clam guy. I just felt like their personalities were similar. Dorito Man. Oh, I did have the animation exclusive character. But it was like one of the more iconic ones. It was Dorito Man. And he's the Diamond Boy in Sans' shop. And I mean, this is like such a nothing Deltarune Glub Shido. But I love this design. I love the Diamond Boy as Dorito Man. Actually, no, this is not Dorito Man. This is not Dorito Man. This average humble citizen before you is not, in fact, the legendary Dorito Man. This humble citizen merely suggests you pass by the chip aisle on your way out. I hear they have Doritos in stock. Not all heroes wear capes. This one, however, does. Mr. Whiskers is the business manticore. The business manticore was like this Undertale glup shitto. He was one of the guys who was waiting for the elevator. He was like this Sphinx cat looking thing. I never knew what he was supposed to be. Apparently, he's supposed to be a manticore. And he was like waiting for the elevator in Undertale. He does appear like in front of the flower shop in Deltarune, I think. And I made him Mr. Whiskers, who was like this cat assassin that Mario hired to get rid of the lime green cockadoodle tweet tweet that made a nest in Jeffy's hair. I'm serious. This is what SML is. This is what SML is about. Gumbo is looks. Gumbo was Junior's imaginary friend, and he kind of looked like Michael Wazowski. So I felt like the comparison was fair. Oh no! You see, the fun thing about the townsfolk characters is that they give me more than I need to explain to you guys on, because some of these are Super Mario Logan episodes that some of you might not have seen. The Truth or Dare monster. So the Truth or Dare monster was summoned in the SML video. The Truth or Dare monster. His real name is Reltih, spelled RELTIH. He loves to play Truth or Dare. He likes Dr. Pepper, but he doesn't like juice. And he dared Junior to kill Cody and his whole family. Gee, I wonder why. So this is the guy in the library that says you should read the books, especially the ones upstairs. That's who this guy is, and he's the Truth or Dare monster, Reltih. Okay, Donkey Kong is Ice Wolf, and he's got like a little McDonald's box on his shirt. Felipe is like this random Mexican kid that keeps showing up. He's like, it's like he's like a somewhat iconic SML glup shitto. So I might as well pair him to the Ficus Liquor, a pretty iconic Deltarune glup shitto. Windowa the Exploa. Hi, I'm Windowa. Oh yes, the woman who died and her binoculars were sold on the black market. The Junior tried to sell the body parts on the black market, but the black market only wanted the binoculars. This is the Scarf Lady. The only reason I did this is because the Scarf Lady wears a scarf, and Windowa wears a bandana, which is not the same thing as a scarf, but it kind of works. And, like, this design is not great, so you can kind of renovate this how you want. As long as it looks like Windowa, or maybe you could just have, like, a better character pairing in mind, and you could just disregard Windowa entirely. These are just body horror at this point. What even is this? This is the nurse at the hospital who violates the Geneva Conventions. I violated the Geneva Conventions with this character design, didn't I? Yeah, I did. So this is Nurse Jackie. This is like that random nurse that Brooklyn guy talks to in like every sort of hospital appearance he's been in. And so it's basically just Nurse Jackie, but she has a big mouth. It's going rah rah rah. This was disturbing to design. This made me feel weird designing it. This made me feel like like Frankenstein, like Victor Frankenstein designing this thing. Oh my gosh. Ah, yes, King Strongbottom of the Iron Asses of Wales. Chef Pee-Pee's real dad. He is the outraged slime who shows up in the diner. Aaron. Oh, this is another SML character that needs some explanation. So Super Mario. Hang on. It was Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures. It was that series. It was a very old series that Logan made when he was a child. And in that series appeared a character who was like one of Bowser's henchmen. And he was just like this crocodile that was like super creepy. He had a big snout and everything. It was like, okay, we have this guy from Undertale who was like this big creep, Aaron. And we have this character from Super Mario Logan who's like lesser known, but also a big creep. The crocodile from Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures. He is technically an iconic character. If you've seen Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures. Like, if you've seen Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures, you probably remember this guy. But nowadays, a lot of people don't watch Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures, so a lot of people don't know who this is. Another thing is that, like, that was back in the days when it was sometimes hard to tell what Logan was saying when he was making videos because he was so young. And of course, Judith, Cody's mom, is Onion San. I feel like that makes sense to anyone who's an SML fan. I feel like that makes sense. Okay, so this is where I actually put Poopy Butt. So I mentioned Poopy Butt earlier. Why didn't I make Poopy Butt the annoying dog? Well, I explained some reasons. But also, there is just like this creepy, like limpy dog looking thing in Noelle's basement. It almost looks like a wacky waving flail arm flailing tube man. And it's just like lying on the floor and it's got like a dog like face. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let's just make the paralyzed thing Poopy Butt. That makes sense. You know, I still say that Poopy Butt is maybe more recognizable than the Taco Bell dog, but I think these character pairings are a lot better. Like, you know, the paralyzed guy is paired to the immobile object. And the dog, which literally, like, parkours ahead of Chris in Chapter 4 to get a bone. Yeah, that works better as the Taco Bell dog. The type of shit that this AU made me draw. So, Everyman. This character design that keeps appearing throughout the game. I was like, okay, what's the most iconic drawing exclusive character in SML? Oh, yeah. Joseph's girlfriend. Joseph's girlfriend, who was like this dumb stick figure that Junior drew because he was bored. He drew her on a piece of paper, and then Joseph fell in love with the piece of paper. And its name was Paige. So we have Everyman and Paige paired together. And then the discarded vessel is drawing Jeffy. Slash Play-Doh Jeffy. Slash whatever you want to call him. Like Faker Jeffy. Like Silly Billy Jeffy. Like, I'll make you say how proud you are of me, Jeffy. That Jeffy. Of course, some of these things would be customizable, of course. I don't think the face would be customizable, nor the helmet. That's got to be a mayonnaise cap. But, like, you know, maybe you could have, like, a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt, as long as it always says Jeffy on it. You could have, like, different types of hair or whatever. And I think we're at the end here. Oh, yeah, we're at the end here. We're at the end. Ooh, put it in my bowl, Daddy. Okay, so that's what I have for Deltalogan right now. That's what I have for Deltalogan. Now, I do not have all of the characters of Deltalogan paired to something. I think I'm missing exactly 41 characters if I go to this thing. And that's a give or take. I like how I said exactly, but then I said give or take. Oh, and I don't actually know if I put all of them on this playlist. I think I did. I think I think I put every design I have on this playlist. I might be wrong. Let me know if I'm missing one. Let me know if I didn't put everything in this playlist. We'll go to the cast list, the official cast list. Yeah. So we go down here to this series of characters. Ignore Temmie for right now. We have Snowy and Monster Kid. Now, I kind of know what I want to do for Snowy and Monster Kid. I want to make one of them Toad, and I want to make the other Patrick. I know that's what I want to do. I know that's what I want to do. However, the question comes down to which one do I make which? Now, Snowy has a parent who has been revealed in the story so far. Snowy has a dad who has appeared in other places in the game. Now, for Toad's dad, I could use Ray Cheesy. That makes a lot of sense. They both do a lot of stuff together, and Ray Cheesy's clearly older than Toad. Maybe Ray Cheesy being like a dad figure to Toad would make sense. Patrick has Clarissa Fitzpatrick. This is the teacher of Cody's preschool. This is the Applebee's waitress. And this is the stripper that Mario and Brooklyn guy Eiffel Towered in Paris. So, with that, I kind of want to make Snowy Toad and Monster Kid Patrick. But the festival is coming up. And the festival is a good time to see the family members of hometown characters. So therefore, if we see other family members during the festival, I want to make sure I get this choice right around then. You know, it's just something as simple as having like a parental figure appear during the festival could completely change my setup here. So I want to be careful. Bratty. Now, here's the thing with Bratty. There's a character they introduced very recently, which I think could pair well to Bratty. And that is Annabelle, Junior's scary girlfriend. She appeared in 3 episodes, so she is a reoccurring character. Does she fit Bratty's personality? I think clothing-wise she fits Bratty, because she's like sort of a trashy, like, weird girl, or whatever. She's a little bit quirky. She threatened to kill Junior. I think that character pairing would work really well. But at the same time, that is such a recent character, and we want to be certain when the time comes around. We want to be certain. Maybe I want to see more of Bratty. Maybe I want to see how Bratty and Caddy's friendship develops before I pair her to Annabelle, you know? That could be a good idea. Then we get down here to Mettaton and Mad Dummy, who we do not have the designs for yet. I definitely want to pair them to someone, but I don't know who. I feel like Barbara Guy would be a really good pairing to Mad Dummy. There's another character that could fit Barbara Guy later on. I'll get to that. I also thought over the idea of making Mettaton and Mad Dummy ghost characters from SML. And one of them would be the "Why did you hear it?" like that ghost. But then I am uncertain what I would make the other one. I don't know if King Boo ever appeared in an SML video. I was fine making like the regular Boos, the Gwees, but I don't know if King Boo ever appeared in an SML video. So I could see an idea of Mettaton being King Boo and Mad Dummy being the "Why ain't you hear it" guy. But if I make Mad Dummy Barbara guy, I'd think Mettaton should probably be Dad guy. Like Brooklyn Guy's dad, who appeared in like one episode where Brooklyn Guy had to get his kidney or something. Okay, now I have the dogs. The criminal dogs. Now, there's a wide range of SML crooks to choose from. There's a wide range of them. And the reason that they haven't been decided yet is because that range is so wide. So, of course, you got the iconic Bubbles. And then you have Screwball the Clown, who I definitely want to pair to someone in this AU. But it might be better to pair Screwball to a character you encounter in the Dark World, right? Like someone with a bit more, like, story presence, right? You have Evil Cody, Cody with a K. You have, like, the goons that stole Mario's TV in that one episode. You have the Jeffy Wick crooks. And you have Face Eater. I definitely think one of them's got to be Face Eater. I think Doggo should probably be Face Eater. That just feels like it makes the most sense. So since there is such a wide range of crooks to choose from, I have not yet paired any of these characters to a specific crook. And I don't want to do that until we get more information. So now we have diner characters, and we have the Lion Waitress. I want to make the Lion Waitress Clarissa Fitzpatrick. You know, the iconic waitress, which is in, like, every other time that Brooklyn Guy goes to Applebee's or Chili's or baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, Chili's, baby back ribs, barbecue sauce. You know, that waitress. I definitely want to make the Lion Waitress Clarissa Fitzpatrick, but if Monster Kid's parents appear during the festival, I will not get to do that, because if Monster Kid has parents, they would have to be Clarissa Fitzpatrick. Because, I don't know if you know this or not, but Patrick's full name is actually Patrick Fitzpatrick. And Clarissa Fitzpatrick is Patrick's mom. Now, granted, I could get away with pairing Patrick to a different parent, because not a lot of people know that. But I kinda don't want to, because I'd know. What else do we have here? Lion Waitress. Okay, we have the Dragon Family. Now, the reason I don't have the Dragon Family paired to anyone, these are more hometown NPCs, is because Doofy the Dragon is the obvious one that fits, but it does not feel right relegating Doofy to a background character when Charlie got a whole chapter dedicated to him. Doofy would have to be an enemy encounter at the very least. You can't relegate Doofy to some random hometown character nobody knows about. And of course, then if I pair Doofy the Dragon to the Dragon Dad and his wife to the Dragon Mom, then who are the kids going to be? Are they just going to be, like, random non-canon Doofy kids? Is that what's going to happen? I think Doofy mentioned kids. We never get to see them. So I don't know how you do that design. The dragon family is definitely a situation to figure out sometime else. The mole with the big hat. The mole with the big hat. Now, because of his size, Luma makes sense. Because of the size of his hat, the cat in the hat makes sense. But also, the cat in the hat makes sense for Friend. I want to see more of Friend. I want to see more of Device Friend before I make that choice. So, that's why he's here. Ficus Licker, Donkey Kong, the Fire Elemental and Tentacle Monster. Now, my thought was to make these guys Chef Pee-Pee's sisters. I think they are both women. I don't remember. I know that the fire one is a woman. I don't know if the tentacle monster is a woman or a guy. Or anything else. So I was thinking of making them Chef Pee-Pee's sisters. From the episode where it's like Chef Pee-Pee met King Strongbottom of the Iron Asses of Wales. Chef Pee-Pee learned that he had two sisters. And I feel like that makes sense. You know, they're in the diner. King Strongbottom's in the diner as well. It makes sense, but at the same time, I think like Toby Fox's intent is to make these two in a relationship. They seem like they're in a relationship. That might not be the case. They seem like they're in one. I think that's just me, like, reading into the story, though. Like, I see a guy, and, like, I see two really close friends in the background together, and I assume that they're a couple. And one of them I don't know the gender of. Okay, so we have... showed you all these designs. Ooh, then we have these characters. Okay, so Rabbit Kid, Innkeeper's Child, and Rainy are all, like, kids. And I assume they're all really young kids. So I kind of want to make these characters from Cody's preschool series. Now, the thing with that is that I've always thought that Chapter 5 will start with a play reciting the end of the prophecy. I always thought that would be like a fitting way for Chapter 5 to start. And then kid characters would play the heroes. And therefore, the more iconic Cody's preschool characters, like Mikey and Freddy and Daryl, would probably be more suited to play the heroes in that play, which may not end up being Rainy, Innkeeper's Child, and Rabbit Kid. Probably not. Probably not. And then the Rabbit Girl is like the most glupshitto SML character. Or not SML, Deltarune character. I feel like the Rabbit Girl is just like I could literally pair anything to the Rabbit Girl and no one would bat an eye. It's just like this simple little rabbit design. I don't think anyone would bat an eye. At the same time, though, I don't want to choose a character who's too important. But I also don't want to choose a completely unrecognizable character. You know? Because there's not going to be enough room to fit, like, everyone's favorite SML rando in this AU. If I do just make all the background characters, like... Because, like, I want to make the background characters recognizable characters so they can get a cameo, but characters that I couldn't see being in, like, the Dark Worlds or something, you know? Characters I couldn't see being part of the main story. So they'd just be here for, like, goofy little cameos to just make you feel good, because, oh yeah, I remember that episode. And so with the Rabbit Girl, it's like, it's kind of hard to choose what character would match that. It's a character that doesn't have a lot of personality, and, like, the only physical descriptions we have is rabbit. and the only real iconic SML rabbit has been used already, the Hop Hop Bunny. There was also the Scary Rabbit from Jeffy's Nightmare, but from what I remember, that was just like a gray Hop Hop Bunny. I don't remember. Then we have the two guys in the cars. Uh, Again, I think they have the same problem as the Rabbit Girls. It's just like, yeah, finding characters for the hometown characters is just, ugh. Now, there is this mouse with like a big scarf, and I think this mouse said that like she babysitted Noelle or something one day. I think Minnie Mouse would make sense because, well, like, part of Super Mario Logan is that Penelope was a Minnie Mouse fan when she was younger. And so maybe being babysat by Minnie Mouse makes sense. But then I remember that Mickey and Goofy are such an iconic duo in SML. Mickey and Goofy are so funny together. And so if Minnie Mouse does appear in this AU at all, I kind of would want it to be next to her hubby, right? So this is one I'm uncertain about, and I do kind of want to see Chapter 5 first. Then for Card Castle, we have most of these characters paired. And then we get down to the Diamond King. Now, I'm pretty sure I know who I want the Diamond King to be. I think I want the Diamond King to be Bowser's ex-wife. Now, there were 2 episodes where we got to meet Bowser's ex-wife. There was the Koopalings, where she dropped the Koopalings off and then did bad things to Chef Pee-Pee. And that's the one I think I'm going to use, just because I feel like it's more... It's easier to turn into a character design, and it makes sense as being like a leader of like the Koopa Troopas, right? The Koopa Troopas are the Rudins, so the Diamond King should be a Koopa Troopa leader, who would be Sheila. Now, I could also make the Diamond King one of the Koopalings. I am considering making the Koopalings the 7 Flowers once we see them in a future Deltarune chapter. I'm sure we'll see them as characters. But I feel like I am pretty dead set on making the Diamond King Sheila. Then we have the pair of eyes in a jail cell and the tree with legs. This is basically the same problem. These are just such out there character designs that I don't know how to turn into SML characters. They're so simplistic. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. One option I am considering for the pair of eyes in the jail cell. There was an episode where Chef Pee-Pee made a child out of food named Conehead McGee. And at the end of the episode, Chef Pee-Pee had to eat Conehead McGee down to his eyeballs. And so maybe his eyeballs could be the pair of eyes in a jail cell. But also, the problem, Conehead McGee's design is more iconic than the design of his eyeballs. So how am I going to find a character that is literally just a pair of eyeballs and pair that to a super iconic SML character? I don't know how to do that. Nor do I know how to translate the tree with legs, because all that character is a tree with legs that you can only see if you round the bend a few times and see that it's like this tree with legs. These two are gonna be near impossible. I'll tell you what, I gotta find something, but it's gonna be rough. I think I got everyone in the Cyber City. Let me just check. Zach, Jiggly Jello, Cookie Monster, Lone Dolphin, SpongeBob, Timber Creek, Peter Piranha, Cherry Box, Lightning McQueen, Homeless Guy, Cheeseburger, Charlie, like Snicker Pippets, Nigel, Rosalina's Mom and Dad, Mr. Linkle, Nintendo, With Charlie and Friends Noises, Earl, Chris the Cucumber, Poliwhirls and Polytoad EXs, Baja Blast Cooler, Gilbert Catfried, Whisker Walkington, Tiny Whisper, Tiny Gilbert Catfried. Serious Cookie Monster, Cuddy as Yoshi, Shrek, Tiny Woody. Mantle game characters. Yeah, I got all them. Okay. So the old man statue, I think what I want the old man statue to be is I want it to be a version of Judge Poobie made out of copper. Because this is a reference to the Empire State Building episode, where Jeffy dropped a penny off the Empire State Building and it hit Poobie in the face. And so Poobie sued Jeffy and turned the copper from the penny into a car. But then he also got bonked on the head with a car. So I think a character tied to the old man's trauma, and like Poobie was traumatized by pennies. I think just like a copper statue of the old man would maybe be fitting. I mean, one crazy thing we could do is we could make like an Abraham Lincoln out of copper. That'd be... I don't know about that one. I think it should just be like a statue of Judge Poobie, but made out of copper. The Mizzles, I kind of explained this earlier. I want them to be Peach. But I want to see what characters in Chapter 5 are closest to Mario. What new characters are closest to Mario. Will there be one that fits Peach really well? Maybe. And I'm pretty sure I showed you all these guys. Hot Dog Man. Drawing Jeffy, Page. Okay, now some of these are characters that don't have designs, but I do have chosen who they're gonna be. I want Gaster to be Mama Luigi, the iconic character who has gone so long without an appearance. You know, Luigi's stupid clone who's like kind of who like joined him in Mario and Luigi's Stupid Dumb Adventures, who is distinct from the regular Luigi. So I feel like Egg Giver being regular Luigi and Gaster / the voice at the beginning being Mama Luigi, that makes a lot of sense to me. Because the Egg Giver is related to Gaster, but seemingly different from Gaster, you know? And it's like, it's not clear if the Egg Giver is Gaster working with Gaster, working against Gaster, not working and just existing, but for some reason being just as mysterious as Gaster is. The Egg Giver is a wild card in Deltarune at the moment. And I feel like just pairing him to Luigi makes a lot of sense. I might change this option later. The design has not been made, so it's not final. I want Sans to be Wario and Papyrus to be Waluigi. I feel like that makes sense. Annoying Dog is Taco Bell Dog. Okay, Image Friend. I want him to be Tony the Tiger. At the same time, I could really see him being the Cat in the Hat. Because, you know, the Cat in the Hat, he came in, he caused mischief for Junior, and hit the TV with an axe. And then his head exploded because he couldn't rhyme orange with anything. Despite door hinge and porridge being right there. Now, the Roaring Knight, this is truly impossible until we know the Roaring Knight's identity. We might be able to give him a design before we know his identity, but we're not going to be able to find out the literal character that the Roaring Knight is until we get more information. Now, I have considered Scooter, because I didn't explain this earlier, but since Jeffy is Chris, I wanted Asriel to be Phoebe. Scooter is like the other character in that line of characters. the sort of humans with the pencil in their nose, the sort of that type of character. And I think the Roaring Knight as Scooter makes sense, but at the same time, I want to see if like we can put Scooter somewhere else. I do want Scooter to appear in this AU. I feel like Scooter's iconic enough that he probably deserves to appear in the AU somewhere. But I don't know where, and I don't think I will know where until Chapter 5. Okay, now we get into the real thing I wanted to talk about, the Titans. I've deliberated over it for a while. I've honestly considered, like, my first consideration was to pair the Titan to Doofy the Dragon. And the main reason I wanted to do that is because Doofy was a character that did cause some controversy. And, Charlie, he got a whole chapter dedicated to him. Maybe the final boss at the end of Chapter 4, maybe that could have been Doofy. And so you could have had the two, like, TV show characters as, like, super important. But, looking back, I think I've come up with a better idea for the Titans. And I want to know your guys' opinions on them. What if we made the Titans the quote-unquote main antagonists of SML, if you know what I mean? So, characters like Nancy, who Nancy only really appeared in, like, special episodes, really appears in, like, super emotional Jeffy episodes, mostly. You have Jack Pierre Francois, Jeffy's dad, who's in a very similar situation to Nancy, though not as much. You have CJ, Phoebe's tormentor from back in the flashbacks. You have Does Bad Things guy, the keeper of the secret door. You have Does Bad Things guy. There's plenty of main antagonist SML characters that I think would fit to the Titans really well. And now we have the Titans spawn. What should they be? Well, I'm kind of thinking, what if we make the Chapter 4 Titan Jack Pierre Francois? And then we make the Titans spawn like the little snail henchman he had in that one episode in Jeffrey's 21st birthday. Now, when the Titan spawns appear in the future, it might be strange that they're not in the same place as Jack Pierre Francois. Because probably the Titan spawns will appear in the future. Probably. So every Titan spawn being a snail. And it's just like, in general, every Titan spawn being the same character is a little strange. The Titans are another one of these characters that are sort of hard to figure out. But I do like the idea of the Titans being the main antagonists of SML. Now, there are more main antagonists of SML. And depending on how you stretch that, you could fit even more characters in there. So, like, Barbara Guy is just an abusive parent to Brookie. Barbara Guy is an abusive parent to Brooklyn Guy. And that could count under this category of main antagonists. You know, that could totally count. You could say Doofy still deserves to be a Titan. Another thing we could do is we could reuse characters for specifically Titans. Because I was thinking that, you know, the Titans are supposed to be demons, right? So it's like, the Chapter 4 Titan could be Craig, and then the Titan spawns could be Craig Jr., even though we already have Craig and Craig Jr. earlier in the AU, you know? We could go on a lot of different paths for the Titans. I think the last thing I want to do is I want to talk about, like, this list of places, and these are kind of like prototypes, so Just hear me out on them, and kind of do your own thing when you make your mods or your OST tracks or whatever. Chris's house, obviously the SML house. Noel's mansion, obviously Brooklyn Guy's house. Caddy's house, the Huckerdoo house. Braddy's house, I don't have paired to anything because I don't have Braddy paired to a character. Naps the Book's house, Simmons' house. Asgore's flower shop is Mario's power-up store. He sells power-ups instead of flowers. Ice E's McDonald's. That makes sense. I think this is one that's probably set in stone. QC's Diner is Applebee's. Sans' store as a store called Wario's Wares. Sans' house is Wario's house, of course. Apartments, SML apartments. Police station, jail, hospital. I think the library was just going to be a random library. I don't think they ever go to a library in, like, any SML video, so... the school is obviously the YU Dumb Elementary School. The town hall is just a town hall, just whatever. The church is the courtroom instead. It is the judge's courtroom. The bunker, I was thinking the bunker was gonna be designed to look like the secret door. I told you not to open the door! I don't have anything for the ruined landscape. Cody's Pillow Fort as Castletown. So, like, there was an episode where Junior made a pillow fort, and then Cody made, like, this really awesome pillow fort across the room that, like, Joseph wanted to go to instead of Junior's, and so they had this whole war about their pillow forts. It was just, the joke was that Cody has made the most based pillow fort to ever exist ever, and so that being the castle makes sense. Field of Hopes and Dreams, I don't have paired to anything. Shops is Craigslist. The Great Board is just a game night board. The card castle will be called Koopa Keep, but it's meant to represent the SML apartment, like the little apartment that Logan used to live in. And only the couch, like all the furniture's in dark scale, but only the couch is colored. King's Throne SML couch. The rules card shop is the kitchen, and then Lancer's room has a Thomas bed in it, instead of the spade-shaped bed. Cyberfield, not paired to anything. Sweet Captain Capes' shop is like Black Yoshi selling Kool-Aid. Roller Coaster, I think I was gonna make the Funfair Paper World, the Funfair from Chapter 2. I was gonna make that Paper World. Spamton's shop is a cardboard box, Hansel's cardboard box, and then the dumpster's just a dumpster. Cyber Funfair is Paper World. Queen's Mansion is Goodman's Mansion, obviously. Tennis Studio is where they record Charlie and Friends. Zelda parody game. I was kind of thinking maybe we either make the parody game more Mario-like, or just leave it about the same. SML is about video games anyway. It's supposed to be. The cooking show is the best chef competition that in SML Chef PP and Goodman competed in, but this time it's like Jeffy competing in it. The rock stage is a Lizard Guts live performance of Lonely Winter. The Susie Zilla City is Junior's Toy City from the episode where everyone did, like, video projects for school. And Junior did one where, like, a T-Rex and a bunch of tarantulas attacked the city. I think it was like the T-Rex was trying to eat Cody's mom or something. Chapter 3 is this is a good reference, actually. So, there's an unreleased SML video called Pooper Man. And the reason Pooper Man was never released is because in order to record it, Logan would have had to do something that is just straight up illegal and be on its pair of train tracks as a train was coming towards him. They had to get the timing just right for like one of the final scenes of the Pooperman video. There was like a climax where Jeffy was gonna like stop a train or something as Pooperman. And I felt like, there's like a train in this segment, so maybe we should reference that. I don't know. It's just a thought. I don't know how many people actually know about that little piece of trivia, though. Not many people are chronically online as I am. Chapter 3 Prison Area, I don't have that paired to anything. And then, of course, the church Dark World is just kind of like a courtroom Dark World. It's more stylized like a courtroom. Okay, items, these are definitely subject to change. Every single thing you see right here is subject to change. I have dark candies as marshmallow peeps. I have dark burgers as quarter pounders with cheese. I have Choco Diamonds as gold wrapped chocolate bars. So there was like an episode where there was a machine that produced a bunch of like foil wrapped chocolate, but they looked like gold bars. Hearts Donut is the Donut King donuts. You gotta, if you want a donut from the king, something amazing you must bring. Where Jeffy got to be the king of donuts because he found the golden donut. Club Sandwich is Chickadee China the Chinese chicken. I don't know about that one. I have the top cake as a zebra cheesecake, and of course this was made by Chef Poop Poop. So there was an episode where Chef Pee Pee tried to make a cheesecake, but he didn't know what that was, so he just put like cheese over a zebra cake, and then he fed it to Shrek. And then if you take the zebra cheesecake back to Top Chef, you can get the Sara Lee cheesecake. The real good stuff. Revive Mint is a 1-up. Revive Dust is 1-up Dust. Lancer Cookie is a Chips Ahoy cookie, and then of course like Junior would be the one selling them, so that makes sense. He's like really particular about Chips Ahoy cookies. There's an episode where like he wrote a bunch of sticky notes for Chef Pee Pee to go get cookies, and it was very important that they had to be Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies. Rules Rue. This is what Chef Pee Pee sells, is going to be burnt mac and cheese. That's like one of his most iconic meals. Light candy is just going to be chalk, because there's like story importance for it being chalk. So it doesn't change. A CD bagel was going to be watermelon. And of course, these are being sold by Sweet Cap and Cake, so they sell watermelon. A DD burger, double dark burger is a double quarter pounder with cheese. That makes sense. And then we get into some stuff sold at Goodman's Mansion. You got the Butler Juice, which will be filet mignon. You have the Spaghetti Code, which is the dinosaur steak. And then you have the stuff sold by Spampton, which is the Poison, which is beer. So Hansel sells you beer. Chris T, Jeffy Cheetos, Susie T, Joseph Cheetos, Rousey T, Cody Cheetos, Penelope Cheetos. I think I made them Cheetos because there was like one episode of SML where Dougie wanted like fried chicken Cheetos. Maybe they should be something else. They should be character specific, but I don't know if they should be Cheetos. I just know that was like a big episode about like it's very specific that they got to be this flavor or something. TV dinner is the Bowser Juice. Of course, this is sold in Tennis Studio, so of course he'd be selling Bowser Juice. Pippus is a moldy cheeseburger. The Pippus that you get to eat is a moldy cheeseburger. A flat soda is half a Wendy's Frosty. This is the soda that Susie gives to you. And, of course, half a Wendy's Frosty. This was based on the episode where they kept sending Mario to prison because Jeffy kept drawing Mario instead of the actual criminals. And at the end, all they offered Marvin was like half a Wendy's Frosty. And so it's like, I don't know, it's kind of an iconic joke, I guess. TV slop, the TV stuff that makes you sick. This is water 2, chipmunk water. That, I think it was Caitlyn Jenner drank and it made her sick. Or something. And then, of course, you have the executive buffet, which is the Bowser... You have the deluxe dinner, which is the Bowser Juice Extreme. And then you have executive buffet, which is Bowser Juice Extreme Extreme. Ancient Sweet. I don't remember where you find the Ancient Sweet. This was going to be the massive chocolate cake that Jeffy was going to eat, but then Poopy Butt ate it instead, and he died, and then he came back to life as evil Poopy Butt. That's what the Ancient Sweet was going to be. Now, this is one that I definitely think is subject to change, because I do kind of want to put the Kool-Aid Man in later in this AU. I do kind of want to put the Kool-Aid Man in. So the Rhapsody and Scarlixer being Kool-Aid, that might not stay. Bitter Tear is Baja Blast, of course, because you steal it from Miss Mizzle. Darker Candy is 6 peeps. So you have Dark Candy, which is just 1 peep. But then you have Darker Candy, which is 6 peeps. Because, you know, they gotta stay 6 peeps away from each other. Another reason I did that is because it's heavily implied that the dark candies are, like, marshmallow-based. So, you know, marshmallow peeps, marshmallow dark candy, 1 peep versus 6 peeps. Keep a 6 peeps distance because of the cough, and, you know, it makes sense. Rotten tea is moldy Cheetos, because that's like, you know, you keep the tea until chapter 4 and it spoils. And then you have the TP items, which Tension Bit was going to be sponsorship revenue, Tension Gem was going to be SML merch, and then Tension Max was going to be the rare and ever elusive Patreon shoutout that Logan said he would do for people. Hey, it's been long enough. I'm not mad about that. It is just a thing that happened, though. Okay, the manual was going to be called Cody's Epic Gamer Manual, because this is the manual that Rousey gives you at the beginning. Glow Shard. This one I might change. Glow Shard, I was going to make the Blue Rock Candy, because maybe Blue Rock Candy needs to be an edible item, so... Dog Dollar is a poop. Jeffy will eat it. So the Dog Dollar is not an edible item. The amount of left turns in my brain that got me to that. You can see where it happened, because here I was saying, oh, this is an item that isn't edible. Oh, here's an item that's not edible. And so I paired it to something that's not edible. And then I thought, oh no, wait. Jeffy does that, doesn't he? That's like a canon piece of his character. Oh no. Oh no. What is this show? Hot chocolate. I think this is like a Light World exclusive healing item. I think the hot chocolate was just going to be a Coke. Soda, not the drug. Bandage was going to be Toy Story Band-Aids. I think there was like one scene where Junior was like bragging that he had Toy Story Band-Aids. And that's why I put in Toy Story Band-Aids. And then the box of heart candy was going to be M&M's, because of course it's the chief of police trying to give a box of candy to the teacher, right? Jackie Chu. So that's a decent portion of my AU explained. That took 2 frigid hours. I always record for way too long when I do these things. Oh my gosh. No, but that's what I have for the AU so far. It's definitely not finished. I have like 41 characters that already exist that I don't have paired to anyone. And then I need to pair like 50 characters when the next chapter comes out as well. Because every chapter introduces like at least 10. So, I got my work. I still got a lot of work ahead of me, but I've gotten a lot of work done. And mainly, I want to see if people are interested in this AU. I really don't think we'll kick off to like the final character pairings until Chapter 5 comes out. I do want to see what Chapter 5 is like before I get some of these character pairings final. And of course, we need that if we're gonna get like if we're gonna get the show on the road. Another thing is, I will take suggestions. I will take suggestions for a lot of the stuff that I'm uncertain about right now. I want to take some suggestions from like SML fans, who like know the series by heart, know like good characters to put where, and good references to put where. The other thing is, I don't think I'm gonna make a mod on this, and I don't think I'm gonna make like a crappy RPG Maker recreation of Deltarune either. Uh, I feel like that type of stuff I am just gonna leave in the hands of the fans of this AU. So like making your own music tracks and stuff, and making your own like big game. Uh, that stuff's all gonna be on you. That stuff's all gonna be on you, the fans. And of course, when you write your own story, you can do whatever you want with it. You do not need to follow these pairings exactly. If you think it's better for, say, Bowser Jr. to take the place of Chris so that we could have all the Skeeter boys together, if you think that is the best option, you are very the welcome to try. You are very the welcome to do it like that. Now, me, when I saw the characters and like their personalities and stuff, it really just made a lot more sense to put Jeffy in this role and Bowser Jr. in the Lancer role. He is the most reoccurring Darkener, so I don't think we're going to be short on Junior content. And another thing is, I think an AU like this gives Joseph a lot of time to shine, right? Joseph's a character that deserves it. Joseph's one of those SML characters that's kind of been like very fluid throughout the years. He was Joseph's always been his friend from school, right? Joseph's always just been his friend from school, and so he started out as kind of like a kid with braces who thought he was cool, but he kind of had like a lisp. He was like this poor kid whose parents were dead, and then he just kind of became a black stereotype over time, which is unfortunate. He definitely is like a completely different character now. I would want this to be based on like Joseph's old personality, and like go from Joseph's old personality to where this new character could go. Because Joseph, in his old personality, he did have violent tendencies. He did. He was like, he in like his sleep, he almost stabbed Junior. That was his sleep. But Joseph is I feel like Joseph is a character that like can reach the sort of like macabreness that Susie gets sometimes. And I will be honest that this is the majority of the art I've been making over the past few months. It's just like getting all these character designs done. Oh, but then there's this guy. This is not part of the Deltalogan AU at all, and this is like, I'm really proud of this guy. This guy isn't part of Deltalogan AU. This is based on a dream I had, and you could like pause and read this if you want, but like, this was based on like a dream I had about a Deltarune boss. And the thing is, it wasn't even a secret boss. It was like one of the bosses along the main route. And like the idea behind this boss is this big Grim Reaper looking guy. And what happened is like it was during one of the moments where it's like the soul was separated from Chris. And so what happened was that the Grim Reaper harvester guy came along and like captured Chris, Susie, and Rousey and put them in this bag. Like they're all sort of in this bag. They all fit in this little bag right here. And then you, as the player, you had to just go save them on your own using your light powers. Uh, it's like the light that chews the darkness. And I also feel like this sort of fits the whole like devil disguised as an angel of light motif that like the Titans sort of had, where it was like, they had these white wings in front of them, and this guy's got like this white cloak, but like his his form is very skeletal, and like he'll probably like pull back this hood and show his like very devilish looking face or something. It was an interesting dream. Um, it was definitely an interesting dream. So yeah, I guess that's where I'm gonna end the video here. I I like Deltarune and I like SML, and I just noticed that certain characters had certain similarities. The main thing is, I think the main characters are paired to the character that makes the most sense. Okay, you should know by now that I do sort of ramble at the end of the videos here. If you came to just like see everything that was in AU, this is just gonna be the ramble segment. But um, it's like, of course, you got to make the main heroes the main characters of SML, which are the kids, and then of course you got to make the close neighbors the closest friends to Mario and Jeffy and the others. It's like, of course, Penelope's the girl, so but it's like, Jeffy is sort of like the kid who's sometimes quiet and a bit of a wild card, so pairing him to Chris makes sense. And then Joseph's like the poor kid who has some violent tendencies and doesn't have a good relationship with his parents, and that pairs to Susie quite well. And then, like, Cody's like the nerd of the group. But Cody's also the most logical of the group, so Rousey being sort of the moral compass of the group and trying to get people on like a logical path. That makes sense. It's like Cody. Um, and then Harry being the sort of annoying smart kid. It's like Cody's just the regular smart kid, but then Harry's like the annoying smart kid. Um, Penelope's the girl that like everyone has a crush on or whatever. And then you have like the chapter bosses, like King Bowser's got like this intimidating presence. He's got like this bouncy kid and this very like expressive servant with like rules card, Thomas. And for secret boss, you got like the little bouncy devil-like character, and then you have a character who's like closely associated with him, that being Sham Craig. This choice also makes sense. And you get down here, and then of course the rich, pompous ruler, of course being Goodman, and of course all of his staff just kind of logically flows from there. The kind of crazy homeless guy, of course, that being Hansel, who has like his alien conspiracy theories and stuff. Then you have like the celebrity television host, Charlie, a super expressive like television personality. And then you have just a Zelda reference. Eram's one of the least notable secret bosses, and then of course you got the old judge that everyone respects, who kind of does his own thing sometimes, but is also like super strong and not to be messed with. Of course, you gotta make him Judge Poobie. And then you even got like some of the mini bosses. Like if we go back to the mini bosses, you've got Yeah, you've got Chompy. He's the dog. He's Bowser Jr.'s dog, actually, so, you know, that makes sense. And then you got Ping and Pong as Clover, because they're like the conjoined twins. Um, I like the Hungry Caterpillar being here. Also, in regards to mini bosses, you got the uh, you got the Urban Fellows. Uh, uh, that's just a wheel and mice. That's just supersonic. They're technically mini bosses, though. And then you got like the fake mics. You got for the fake mics, you got these characters who haven't appeared in a long time, but are like super iconic, expressive characters. Uh, and also like the whole thing with Mike Snicker Pippets is just that's just perfect, right? Mike Snicker Pippets. Deltarune always referencing this character named Mike who never shows up, and Super Mario Logan also referencing this guy named Mike who never shows up. That works. That just works. Um, it almost feels meant to be in a way. And then of course you got the big scary guy who talks about AIDS all the time, who can be easily like sentence mixed. Feels good. Every character choice I have right now is a character choice that I am like pretty confident in. All of these character choices work. The only things is that I am worried that in the future there will be new characters who fit like these hometown NPCs better, but I'm stuck with the hometown NPC designs. So I can't actually put those on the characters who deserve that character more, right? You know what I mean? And the other thing is Bot Buddy as the Jigsari. Mobot as Mobot as Jigsaw Joe and the tutorial guys, like this is great. This is like a perfect match. But then it creates this strange scenario where, I mean, the other Jigsaw puzzles kind of have to be robots that aren't Mobot, and it just creates this type of character that doesn't even really look like a Jigsari. This is like I think the one character design I have made so far that I'm not like super confident in. But I also feel like that's the only choice I had, you know? Feels like I kind of backed myself into a corner with that one. All of these other choices are pretty goated, if I do say so myself. And I do. I say so. Of course, it's my AU, so I am going to be biased. I don't know. Let me guys know your thoughts. I spent way too much time on this. I spent way too much time on this video, honestly. But, yeah, I hope you at least considering this AU.